I'm with Extra Mile Snow Plowing. We are a snow plowing company out of West Bend, Wisconsin, as we just showed you where on the hand here. Having both some Wi-Fi and some space issues, so I am buried in the back of our sidewalk shop here today, which seems appropriate. You know, here we got all the shovels and whatnot. Seem like the best place to do this anyways. So I'm going to give a talk today on about 10 to 15 years ago, we decided to switch from granular rock salt and treated rock salt on our sidewalks to 100% brine. And we made a lot of mistakes. We blew a lot of money that didn't need to be wasted by making some of those mistakes. We had a lot of successes. And, you know, we're at the point in time where the technology's there, the application ability and knowledge is there. So I'd like to help many of you guys come on board with the same process and spare you the pain and money we went through. And what I'm going to share is going to apply both to municipalities and to private contractors. And I do know there's also you know, some special interest groups listening as well, and so they can reteach some of this or see what is available to help reduce chloride runoff into areas they are trying to protect as well. So I'll kind of get started here. And if you have questions, just send them to Allison. We'll have plenty of time for question and answer afterwards. So we're going to start with the pain of rock salt on sidewalks. You know, why is it a big deal? You know, multiple reasons. There is the fact that it's ridiculously over applied, no matter how cautious people are. If you've got crews out there, they're cautious for an hour. After that, the spinner jams up, there's some sort of issue, and guys are just with a bucket, just like bird feed wise, just like spreading it all over the place. There is nobody I know who can tell me that they are accurately applying the correct amount of rock salt, and it's calibrated to sidewalks. Been there, done that, tried it. It works for an hour, and then as soon as you leave, it's whatever's easiest is being done. So with rock salt, we're going through pallet after pallet after pallet, semi-load after semi-load after semi-load. It takes up space, having all those pallets of bags here. It takes up time unloading them. It's a mess because for whatever reason, they build the absolute cheapest, crappiest pallets on the face of the earth for stacking salt on. And I can't see you guys, but there's got to be at least 15 of you shaking your head saying, oh my gosh, I know exactly what he's talking about there. So you end up skewering bags, spilling bags all over the place. We talked about the constant over application, dead grass in the spring. I'm sure whether you're the ones applying or not, you're all familiar with the 1 foot of dead grass on either side of the sidewalk or even driveways from all the over applied rock salt that's ending up over there. Customer complaints, whether it's a house, a store. We have some indoor pickleball courts we take care of. They would complain that the rock salt on the sidewalk gets tracked into their courts because apparently people can't figure out to wear 2 different pairs of shoes. I don't know, but nonetheless, the salt gets tracked in bags everywhere. You know, there's bags blowing out of people's trucks. There's constant bags to throw away. If that seems like to you, if you're thinking, what is he talking about? Then you don't do ridiculous amounts of sidewalk clearing. Anyone who's doing ridiculous amounts of sidewalk clearing understands just what a nuisance all these empty bags are everywhere. And the trail of them you can follow alongside the road back to your shop because guys didn't secure them in there well. And then there's the constant reloading of trucks, 50-pound bags, throwing 20 bags in every storm, walking across wet tailgates and truck beds, or even worse, dump truck beds. Huge slip hazard for your guys walking in the slush with those bags on the metal. That's definitely a potential injury hazard. So I'm going to move on to the next slide here. So, excuse me. That's the way we're familiar with. Why is brine a better business model for sidewalks? I'll go through a couple of the obvious ones, or not obvious, I apologize. A couple of the main points. It's faster. This slide you're looking at here, you can have that with brine a minute and a half after you shovel. possibly even faster. The time's 30 seconds after you shovel. But worst case scenario, that's 5 minutes after you shovel. So you get quick, immediate, thorough results. On the cost end, we've found that once you know how to do it right, it is the same cost as salt. By the time you figure in labor and material and the equipment needed, it balances out. One might have a little bit more, brine might have a little bit higher equipment cost, uh, but way less labor cost, and the two flip-flop there. It's cleaner. You're not tracking, it's not leaving granular salt to bring into your customers or your buildings. If you're a property manager, into your own property you're servicing, if you're a municipality, into your constituents, residences and businesses. And as far as the dead grass, I want to be clear here. You are still applying chlorides. Chlorides are not good for grass. There is no environmentally friendly version of de-icing your sidewalks. There's just less environmentally detrimental. So this is drastically less environmentally detrimental than granular. And the reason being because you're using the exact right amount of chlorides, or even if you're not, even if you're using twice as much, it's still a fraction of how much chloride is getting put down when over applying granular salt. And you're keeping it right to where it needs to be in those sidewalks, not accidentally broadcasting it 1.5 feet onto the grass on either side. It's very simple equipment application, as we'll get into in some later slides. It's very, once you've got the right setup, it's actually easier, like drastically easier than salting sidewalks with granular. And on the storage end, at your shop or your own location, much less space is needed. Where we used to need space for 20 to 40 pallets of salt, all you need is like an 8-foot diameter bulk tank. So you're taking up a 4-foot radius. So not a lot of space there. Let's get to the next. Oh, went the wrong way. Sorry. So equipment. I'm not a brine equipment dealer. I'm just going to let you know what we use. We use it because it's local and it's available. There are others. This sprayer here is one version. I know I saw on here, if you're on the East Coast, Northeast De-icing Solutions, they carry some other brands that I'd encourage you to look at. There's a couple brands doing the same thing. Honestly, I think they all need to be dialed in a little bit better. But just to get you a visual of what we're talking about using here, this push sprayer right here, set up like your old push spreader, except you can see on the top, there's a cap, gets filled with brine, and you got a spray nozzle on bottom. And if you look kind of close, you can see it covers about a 3-foot width. So you do your shoveling and just right over the top with this. So basically 3 pieces of equipment we look at to integrate a sidewalk brine operation. There's larger scale things you can do. I'm not talking about, reach out to me. We got some big things we do, whether it's just using snow raiders that have 20-gallon tanks, or actually today we've got some large John Deere 1585s that we're actually fabricating holders so we can put 40-gallon brine tanks on them and go 10 miles an hour down the sidewalk spraying brine. But on a simple, straightforward end, we run about 15 to 20 of these units in here, and our regular sidewalk crews do it. So inside the bed of a pickup truck, you're going to have one of these. You're going to have a 40 or 50-gallon gravity tank, which you can kind of see behind me, right here. You could use anything. You can use a tote. Tote's pretty big. That's 250 gallons. But you come up with a 50-gallon tank that you put in the bed of your truck, and then you just run a hose off of it with a nozzle at the end. We gravity feed it. We've done it with pumps. Sooner or later, the pump breaks, and then your crew can't get it, and it fills up pretty quick with a gravity feed. So We've got on the truck, we've got your push sprayer. You've got the gravity tank to fill it back up. And then at your shop, you have a bulk tank where you get your brine delivered, whether that's a couple 250-gallon totes, or the way we got started, we bought two 3,000-gallon tanks. So we would order our brine in 4,500-gallon tankers. That's about the most you can get on the road at a time. And with two 3,000-gallon tankers, it could empty the whole tanker. And then when we got down to only 1,500 gallons of brine left, it left enough space to fill the whole thing up again. You can do that on a smaller scale. Find someone who sells brine around you and bring a couple totes over there and just keep refilling your totes every now and then. I would encourage you, when you're getting started here, don't even think or consider making your own brine. It muddies the waters. It's difficult, and that's when the costs of getting into brine really start to get expensive on the upfront end. You may make it back down the road, but I would say get your feet wet, get rolling with this. Find someone in your area who makes brine. You run to their shop, fill up some totes, come on back, or you have it delivered. And then the second year, start looking at selling brine or making brine on your own. I apologize. This is hard for me because I can't see any of you guys. I just see the picture of me. So I've got no one to tell me, Aaron, you're rambling. Just move on to the next slide here. So you can put that in the comments at the end if I'm doing that.
You're doing great, Aaron. You're doing great.
Oh, all right. Thanks. How to do it. Here's just a little kind of visual of somebody doing it. You can see it sprayed behind this person here and dry in front of them still. A light coat. We've tried different ways of calibrating it with the guys, and in the end, we tell them just a normal walking pace is all you need. What we find is the stuff works so well that at a normal walking pace, you put the brine down, and within 5 minutes, it's totally melted and wet. There's something with human nature that tells you, if I do it twice or if I go a little slower, I can have bare pavement within like 12 seconds. So we're constantly finding our guys are walking too slow or doing it twice, when really if they would have just left it, it would have melted. On the so on one end, we're putting down a little bit more chlorides than we would like and using more material. On the other side, even if you were to apply brine 3 times to a sidewalk, it is a fraction of how much chlorides is getting put down when you're using rock salt. So, there's an old saying about stepping over quarters to save nickels. Sometimes we got to choose our battles a little bit. There's only so many times you can tell a 17-year-old the same thing before you just either pull your hair out or just say it is what it is. So it's easier to get bare pavement with brine than it is to only do a so-so job, because it just works that well. As far as how much, like that sprayer you're looking at in the picture, that's 12 gallons. We find 5 gallons of brine will go about as far as what 2 or 3 bags of salt will do when guys are doing their normal method of over applying it. If you are really dialed in with your salt and uh, uh, and doing well, yeah, it's probably 5 gallons is going to go about as far as what 1 bag goes for you. So there's very few properties where we actually have to refill midway through, but when we do, it's really easy. Another thing you can do is pre-treat before the storm, and then you have less scraping. It really, if you're familiar with taking the shovel and like just scraping it and like barely being able to break that ice bond between the snow and the pavement, this is like your shovel's just going to slide right through it. It makes the weight so much easier to get off of the pavement. It makes the snow just clean off real clear. And then after you do shovel, it's really minimal brine you need anyways, because it's already starting to melt off. One thing we have found is that brine does not work on glare ice. We got people all around the country tuning into this. Some places never have an ice storm. You're in the western plain states where it's a very dry snow, very cold temps, probably not an issue. You get in the Great Lakes regions out towards the East Coast or through the South where it's just the warm temps and the rain turning into ice. If you have a half inch of ice, quarter inch of glare ice over the top, um, brine is not going to do it. It's not concentrated enough. You'll need some granular salt over that. That's probably 1 out of every 20 storms around us, and we do get more ice than normal. But we just, even though our trucks are brine only, we keep about 3 bags of salt on the truck. And where we use that is maybe you'll have a downspout that's constantly running over the sidewalk. So you just have a 2 foot patch of ice. We brine everything, toss a little salt on there. Or if we know that it's always in the same spot, we just set here one here. We just set a salt bucket out in that area, so that the guys don't even have to go back to the truck. There's a salt bucket and a scoop, and they just fling a little bit here. So some of the worries, both the applicator and your customers, or if you're a municipality, your taxpayers worry about brine. And all this, I'm going to show you how to get through all that. On the contractor end, there's the billing confusion. You put on your bill, we salted this time, we brined that time, we shoveled and salted this time, we shoveled and brined that time. And then you start getting the customers asking, well, why'd you do it this way this time? Why'd you do it that way that time? Did you really need to bill me for both when it could have just been one? I'm going to show you how to get past that on the next slide. Customers can't see or feel it. That's actually a good thing. Like, you got bare pavement and there's not ridiculous amounts of salt still on there getting tracked all over, ruining things. But we're in Wisconsin, but being in cold climates, people are so used to feeling salt, seeing salt, and that being their understanding if something's safe to walk on or not. So it takes just a little bit of getting over that. And again, we'll get to that. Too confusing or the ability to apply it correctly. For the most part, we cover that in some previous slides. We'll get into it a little bit more here too. But it isn't. It really isn't that confusing. Honestly, I think it's easier and more straightforward than rock salt. And we get far less upset customers. I never have someone calling me saying, why does it look like someone just dumped a bag of brine or a gallon of brine right on top of my doorway, where we would often get phone calls complaining about the amount of salt that was put down. And the learning curve seems steep. There's truth to that. 10, 15 years ago, the learning curve was really steep. But myself and a lot of other guys and girls have gone through it and done the hard work, and now the learning curve is simple. I mean, this is a 30-minute video, and you're going to know how to do it after this. And at the end, you'll have my cell, my email. You can look me up. You can call me. You can stop by, visit, and I will help walk you guys through any of this. Okay, so the solutions to the previous slide here. Let's see, on the billing end, we switched all of our billing over the last 2 years. We used to have a shoveling price, a salting price, a brine price, and then we just switched it from shoveling to de-icing, because in either case we're de-icing, whether it's brine or granular. But then, and I think I saw a couple guys from the Bruce Company on here. We had this conversation a while ago too. When you're just, say we get a quarter inch of snow that we don't shovel, but we salt it, or an ice storm and we just salt it or brine it. What's happening then, especially when you get several of those in a row, is you're only billing for the salt price. Normally, you shovel and salt, so the labor portion is built into that shoveling, and then the salt is just the material. But so when you just salt, you're pretty much losing all your profit and then some, and probably losing money actually. So what we've done is we've switched our billing codes to, there is no differentiation. There is one line item, and it's clearing of walkways or sidewalk service, one of those two. And if we, no matter what combination we do, they just get billed the one charge. It's all inclusive, and it's I mean, all inclusive for that service. If we shovel and de-ice, I'm going to pick a number, $100. If we just de-ice, it's $100. If we just shovel, it's $100. Zero pushback from the customers. We actually make more doing it, and it just makes sense, and less confusion for the customers. Some people are incredibly detailed with their billing. Um, I just like to be truthful on the billing, and too much information really confuses the customer because snow is so different. Why did you do this one storm and that the other storm? Because this other storm cost us more money. The customer typically doesn't realize that, well, because of the timing, it had to be done twice, or pavement temperatures are different. And frankly, they don't need to. They just need to know that you're being fair with them and you are getting them bare, safe pavement as fast as possible. So I guess on to the next one here. This is one of my favorite sayings in the snow industry. Customers pay for bare pavement, not the material. Got a typo. Not the material or the method. Salt brine or salt, brine, flamethrower, hair dryer. Who cares how you get them dry pavement as long as it is fast and safe? It really shouldn't be your customer's concern as to what process you're using, as long as you're getting it done fast and safely, and they're paying you for the end result. We take care of the YMCA in West Bend. They just want it 100% bare when they open up at 5 in the morning. They don't care whether I was there the whole night, whether I was there an hour, whether I used 10 machines, one machine, whether I used salt, whether I used brine, whether I used a flamethrower. They only care that when everyone shows up at 5 in the morning, that it is bare and there is no slip and falls. So we don't bother them with the logistics of how we do it. We just get it done right. As far as some of the learning curve, use a foolproof blend, or just over apply slightly when you're learning. It's inexpensive and better safe than sorry when learning. Don't come into this trying to be a mad scientist and all these different chemical blends and whatnot. Reach out to a vendor that you have, ask them what is foolproof, and just use that. After you get things dialed in, you're doing really well, you're comfortable with it, then you can do a little experimenting, a little more of this mix, a little less of this mix, a different product. You can try it on a different crew or in a different facility and look at side by side. But my encouragement would be, don't add the extra stress of getting too much of the chemistry involved right off the bat. There's people who have already done it for you, and just take someone's word for it that someone's safe, someone that you trust, that it's a safe and good, reliable mixture. When we switched over to all brine on sidewalks, we only had one or two people that gave us any pushback, and the initial reactions were great. Banks calling us to say we don't have salt getting tracked into our carpet, doorways not getting eaten up by salt anymore, grout not getting degraded in tiles. We did have one place, they just wanted their customers to feel that crunch, and after 2 or 3 years, they ended up having to do a bunch of new concrete work out front, and that was the perfect time for me to let them know, you guys just spent, $30,000 on concrete because you wouldn't let me put less salt down. So you've got all this expense you just paid out now. Now's the perfect time for us to protect it. Let's switch over to brine. And they kind of went back and forth. I said, let me do it for free for a month. Uh, and we'll see what you think. Honestly, it was like 3 storms, and they called me up and said, don't go back to salt. Keep using this. It's great. And they have a huge atrium in there. I think their maintenance crew realized that it was cutting down like hours a day after a snowfall of how much cleanup they had in their atrium when we were using rock salt. And the other thing we do, we do put most of the salt we go through in the winter on sidewalks. is actually we've got hundreds of these yellow salt bins that we put out in front of the main doorways at properties or any trouble spots, a staircase or where we know it ices up at times. We just put them out. We keep them filled up for free for the customer. And that gives them the security of knowing that if there is an issue, they can just toss a little salt out there. Our sidewalk crews now and then, they'll just, rather than grabbing a bag for a little icy spot, they'll walk over and grab the scoop, hit a couple little areas with it. But it really does give our customers peace of mind. And the crazy thing that I didn't see coming, it cut our callbacks more than in half. Um, and we go back quite often and find these bins almost empty, and we've never even touched them. So the amount of times that a customer or the business owner or someone in the office there is just taking the salt from the bins and spreading it out, it's happening a lot. And it's reducing our liability. They're taking care of I mean, it's basically eyes on the property when we're not there. Yes, I want to make sure that they don't have to do stuff, but most of the time they seem fine. Just, oh, just a little spot, I'll just get it myself. Benefits. Here's a picture of a staircase. Excellent example of those of you guys who are in the snow industry know the difficulty and annoyance that stairs are to your shoveling crews, and even to salt them well, because it's just hard to evenly salt a staircase. You get instant bare pavement, cleaner sidewalks, no tracking inside. We talked about this, lower storage, material handling costs, professional image compared to your competition. Uh, at 7 a.m. when our businesses are opening up, our sidewalks look like this. Um, Whereas a lot of our competitors, their sidewalks, they still look hard packed, have salt sitting on top, and need, a couple hours of sunlight to melt off. We got immediate bare pavement. Drastic decrease in chloride runoff. I do not have the statistics and how much less. I'm going to venture a guess 500%. I mean, and I think that's probably being conservative. I'm going to guess 500% less chloride runoff with brine than with granular. And no dead grass. That's a huge one. We got customers wanting us to redo the grass along the sidewalks. Um, it doesn't happen anymore. If anyone requires that, I tell them even driveways that we do, brine only. And that's at our condos we take care of. We got different machines we use to brine the driveways. 100% eliminated the dead grass on the side of the driveways. We're getting to the end here. So I'm just going to ask you if you're, I said some of you guys are not snow and ice providers watching today, but a good portion of you are. You in or out, or if you're already in, you want to step it up a little bit more. Or if you're out, why are you out? Even feel free to reach out to me and ask and talk about that. So just put it point blank, you in or out on this. It's, you can kick it around year after year after year, but the time to make the decision is this time of year. November and December, to say you're going to just start deciding if you're going to start up a brine operation on your sidewalks. I'm realistic. That's too late. You got too much other stuff going on. It snowed, you're busy, something's broke, everyone's offered deer hunting, Christmas is coming up. If you're really into snow, whether you're a municipality or whether you're a private contractor or a campus or anything, the big snow decisions are being made now. I mean, we purchased our equipment for the next year already, had signed by April. We've got, our suppliers lined up. It's, was it now, August 5th? We've got salt coming from the Port of Milwaukee into our shed today. I mean, we're pushing in salt. We got bin blocks coming in. I mean, I feel like we're 2 months behind already getting ready for winter. So if this is something you guys want to do, now is the time to work on it. Myself and others have taken the hard work of figuring this out for you. We've been doing it for 10 plus years. We've blown the tens of thousands. Truthfully, when you figure in the parking lot applications, I think we're probably about $200,000. Uh, uh, of information on things I would have done differently. Um, but zero customer pushback on the sidewalks. And if you're really on the fence, I'd encourage you to start really, really small and try it on one property. Like you could go as small as for a couple $100 buying half a tote full of brine from somebody, maybe even a full tote full of brine from somebody, and take a backpack sprayer and just use it on a small property and see what you think. You got almost nothing invested, but you'd see the results. But as far as what's it cost for you to buy in here, um, your tank storage at your shop, it's typically about $1 a gallon. So a 3,000 gallon tank is going to cost you about $3,000. Again, you can go with 250-gallon totes. You can usually find those for about $50. Um, just make sure you wash them out really good. A lot of them have junk on the bottom. That'll be a problem down the road if you don't clean that out. So that's your storage at the shop. Your brine sprayers, depending on whose you use, they're all going to be $1,500 plus or minus a couple $100 for the most part. Couple different manufacturers that make them. So there's 1,500 bucks for that. A 50-gallon tank might cost you 200 bucks or something to put in your truck. This is in the snow industry. This is, I mean, in my personal finances, this is big money. In the snow industry, this is peanuts. Snow equipment is so expensive. And if you're a municipality, then you're probably looking at me like I really have no clue because you're talking $400,000 for a a big quad axle dump truck and a plow you're pulling behind it. And I mean, this is peanuts in the snow industry. So I think I got one more here. Um, Well, just a little bit about us. We cover 250 acres, 40 shovelers, 40 plowers. West Bend is not a green community. There's some areas you can sell this on because it's a very progressive green area. This area on a whole is not. Maybe it's middle of the road, but I'd lean more towards not. So we've found other benefits for our customers on why this is a good direction to go, or for us. And it's simple. I really love all the technology in snow. There's a couple of people running their operation like it's still 1960. The amount of technology and wisdom and experience that has been introduced into the snow industry in the last 10 years is unbelievable. Um, that being said, sometimes simple is what pays off. This is really a combination of both. It is so simple. Um, and you're using some technology and making your properties look better than the guy who's still doing it the old ways. Um, Anyone wants to reach out to me, like I said, there's my cell, my email's on the bottom of there. I love talking snow. If I don't call you back right away, which I'll try, but if I don't, I'll get back to you shortly. If you're implementing it this winter and hit some dead ends with something, call me. Because if you're out there stuck, I'm probably out doing something at the same time, and I'm able to talk and experience similar weather. And at this point, I think it'd be great to ask Allison if we have any questions. And I do believe that there is such thing as a stupid question, but life is really fun when it still gets asked and we get to hear it. So good questions, bad questions, ask them all.
Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate that. Nice work. We do have several questions lined up for you here. So
Okay.
we will start out with the first one that was asked. Do you have agitators in your bulk tanks?
We do not. And we also we do minimal mixing in our bulk tanks. We run a 95-5 blend, so that's 5% additive. And I'm not going to confuse anyone by start talking about what additives we're using. Reach out to me directly about that. So 95% sodium chloride, 5% additive. At that ratio, it stays in a suspension. No problem. Some of the additives we use will fall out of suspension at certain temperatures. So rather than try to agitate, we just don't ever go down that road. We like on our bigger tanks for doing parking lots, we mix it at the time of filling into the truck. Sidewalks, we use straight, or I shouldn't use the word straight. We use 95.5 blend for every application, regardless of temperature. That covers the warm temperatures, it covers the cold temperatures. If it's getting well below zero and the pavement temperature is 5 degrees or well below zero, rather than doing a different mixture, we'll just put it down a little bit heavier. And that part is the keeping it simple, not confusing 40 different shovelers on what brine mix they have to use. We just have one tank, they use it. Um, Stay away from things that are going to cause you to have to agitate your tank, because sooner or later it's not going to be agitated and you have a ton of sediment. Someone's going to have to go in there, clean out that tank in the summer. They're not going to be happy.
All right, thank you. And I did put a couple links in the chat to past live streams where people talked a little bit more about brine blends. So Aaron said he's happy to talk also
Yep.
later offline about that. And I also
You're
have,
not going to
yeah.
get two guys that all agree on the same blends either. So
Mhm.
there's whole other classes and panels for that. So
Yeah. And someone else just typed into the chat that they have, I think, 12,000 gallons and they just recirculate in the tank once a month. No issues. All right, next question. And I think I also dropped something in the chat about this for advice for homeowners making their own brine if
sure.
they can't find any nearby.
Yeah. It's just salt and water. It's 23.3% salt compared to water. Any more than that and it falls out of solution, any less than that, and it'll probably freeze on you when you spray it down. You would have to do it on your own. Uh, Boy, I don't know the name. There's a company that sells it in 5 gallon buckets. You can just get it on Amazon. You can do it that way. But again, it is just salt and water. Um, you can mix it in 5 gallon buckets. And let's see what's going to happen here. It's probably going to sound dumb, but I think if you just over mix it, let it sit for a day or two, it would fall, anything that's going to fall out of solution would fall out of solution and you could use the water on top. But you can get meters. You can look online and it'll tell you exactly how much what percentage brine you're at. So you know if you got to add a little more or put a little more water in. So
All right. And I did, I think I'm just going back to look at the resource I put in, is about 3.5 cups of salt for every 1 gallon of water. So
oh, thank you.
would, yeah, recommend kind of like starting there. If you're, yeah, kind of homeowner just DIYing it. Okay, let me go back here to the questions. Um,
That's
okay,
right up your alley, those questions. Allison's the chemistry
well,
wizard.
but I don't have the numbers at the top of my head here. So, all right. Someone had asked about brine, about how much less salt would you say you used? You said you feel like you've dropped salt 500%. I had put in
Oh,
like 50% less salt when switching to brine.
okay. So that number I was saying you're probably leaving that much less chloride runoff. But like personally, how much less salt do we use? Uh, well, I mean, we're using all brine, so I guess I don't know if the question is, am I still counting the salt that gets mixed into brine?
Yeah, yeah.
If
So like the salt that goes into brine versus how much salt were you using before when it was all granular?
oh, well, I'm just gonna have to go with a whole lot because I'd have to do some math that's gonna take longer than this here, but I mean, it's drastic. It's drastic. It's not peanuts. It's not a little bit. It's substantial.
Cool. Yeah, so I would say that we see what I generally report is like 30 to like 70%. And I've had outliers where people have reported even dropping salt use by more than 70%, but I would say 50%. And it really does depend on a lot of factors though. Like you'd mentioned, right? Like how much are you over applying, right? Are
Yes.
you going out with a bag on that sidewalk, or were some of your crews sometimes being a little heavy-handed and putting down three, right? Like that's going to drastically change the
Yeah.
savings that you're seeing.
And
Um,
I'm going to lean much towards the 70, clearly towards the 70, if not more, because we're going from it's not we weren't going from the absolute correct application rate of salt to the absolute correct application rate of brine. We're going from a drastic over application of salt to, for the most part, the correct application of brine, maybe just a little bit heavier. So yeah, I'm going to go all of 70. Thanks for
um,
doing it for me.
yeah. Next question was, how much money have you saved, or maybe you should say, like as a contractor, have you made by you doing brine versus traditional salt?
$8, $10? No, I'm just kidding. Boy, I mean, that's such a vague number. I'm gonna say that's not a helpful number to anyone because it's gonna vary on the size. And if we're just talking sidewalks or all around operations, I'm gonna so
Like a
I'm
percentage,
gonna
or
give
how
you a
would you? Yeah,
percentage.
yeah.
I'm gonna say profits are 30 to 40% higher. Um, yeah, and I mean, and just to give you a Yeah, I'm gonna say they're 30 to 40% higher. And that doesn't even take into the back office uh portions of, the labor of unloading semis of salt, loading up trucks with salt each storm and things like that. Um,
All right. Well, that should make people happy. Yeah. At the end
it's
of the
it's
day,
I
you
mean
got to
it's
make money.
substantial. Yeah, I mean, and
Yeah.
that's a substantial number when you're billing out. I mean, we're billing out. I mean, if people want some numbers, I don't have it. I'd have to look it up on the computer broken up. I'm gonna guess we bill out somewhere between 200 and $400,000 a year in sidewalk, just sidewalks. 30% on top of that, that is a huge number. I mean, what could you do with 60 grand? I mean, a lot. Multiple sidewalk operations.
Back to, yeah, it's kind of sidewalks and people getting started. There was a question about battery powered backpack sprayers.
Okay,
Do you have any experience with that?
sure.
Or,
So
yeah.
we tried that last year. We're always looking for a better sprayer because we're not content yet with we're found some ways to make I'm not gonna talk about brands and stuff. Um so we tried some backpack sprayers last year, picked up a couple battery powered ones and sent them with the guys just to see what they thought. They said it was too slow. That's on a route based, guys who have 8 hours straight of shoveling and brining to do. If you have one property, it's not too huge, or if you're talking your own city sidewalk and driveway, that's plenty good. Or you have a couple smaller places, 50 feet of sidewalk here and there. No problem. A backpack spray will work well for that. If you're talking an entire strip mall with a 10-foot wide sidewalk across the front of it, you don't want to go sidewalk. You don't want to go with a backpack sprayer. You need something a bit heavier duty.
I guess there was one detail of that question I want to add in. What's been the best nozzle for use on the backpack sprayer?
Oh, and the backpack sprayer. Honestly, we've only used the ones they came with, and you can, adjust it so it's a super fine mist all the way down to a jet. And we would usually use something that's kind of in the middle. I don't want it misted. I want actual droplets to hit the ground with some weight to the droplet, and we just kind of back and forth wobbling it like that. But not a fine mist and not a direct jet. I don't know if that's helping you or not, but something right in the middle.
Reminds me, I need to fix my hose jet. It's for my garden hose.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little broken. Um, but it's supposed to be adjustable. Anyway, um, it looks like people have jumped in with some recommendations for making brine at home: 2.28 pounds of salt to 1 gallon of water. And Lake Geneva has said they're saving 190 pounds per lane mile. So we see how that salt savings really adds up on the municipal side.
Yeah, and
Um,
I'm really trying to focus just on sidewalks here, because I mean on municipal, like we've talked with, I mean I saw there's someone from the city of Sheboygan. Sheboygan County has cut down 7,000 tons of road salt in the last, I believe, 15 years. I mean, they have more roads now than they did then, and they're doing it with 7,000 tons. Now figure a ton is about $100 a ton. I mean, that's $700,000 a year. Like it blows my mind why more people aren't doing this, why the state is not giving grants to save themselves money for this. There's a little plug there, but I
Uh, yeah. Aaron, by the way, Aaron and I and the county highway commissioner from Sheboygan County were all in Madison at the Capitol last month at a policy summit. And we were talking to legislators, legislative aides, and trying to line up some money for a grant program in the future, also liability protection. So yeah, if anyone on the call wants to kind of get more involved, hear more about that, I'm happy to chat offline too. Because it just makes sense all around. Um, Next question we've got here. We already have snow raiders. Would you recommend using those for brining?
absolutely. Your snow, we've got 8 of them. So and I'm going to use, so we have snow raiders, but there's some other manufacturers versions that do the same thing. So your stand-on riders, snow raider type, if you already have them, they come, there's a 20-gallon tank on the bottom of that, 10, 20, I think it's 20. Um, so we do a lot of our brining with that. Like I said, I was just trying to keep this simple, so I just got your initial startup. We have some other guys in town here that fill from our tanks. Another company, they show up, they've got a trailer with 2 snow raiders on them and a tote in front, and they go pre-treat and post-treat all their sidewalks with those. We also have some snow raiders placed strategically around the city, and then we have some totes of brine double stacked so that we can just gravity feed them into our snow raider if a truck isn't there to fill it up, so it can keep going. But you want to get sidewalks done 5 times as fast. Something like that snow raider model is the way to go. Absolutely. Or any other version of that. I mean, you could put a sprayer in the back of a UTV. We've got some of our sidewalk tractor style machines that we are custom making our own ones for. Uh, that this is where it gets creative and fun.
Great. And I'm also going to drop into the chat a link here too, since Aaron gave that shout out to Sheboygan County. Sheboygan County and Jefferson County were recently part of a study that UW TOPS lab, the traffic operations and like safety lab did, comparing granular salt to just liquid salt brine. So 2 sections of highway side by side. And I think it was like a 72% reduction in salt by using brine and getting to bare conditions start.
Cool. And
So
in full disclosure, I'm one chemistry class away from an associate's degree for 27 years. So should have took that chemistry class. I'd be more help in that area on here, but gotta revert to Allison for all the chemistry.
uh, all good here. Let's see. We've got another question about, have you seen any issues or different results with old versus newer sidewalks?
I would not any issues. No, I would say we see better results with on old sidewalks than we do with brine than we do with the granular, because old sidewalks are a lot more porous, which means there's a lot more surface area. The brine has a tendency to find its way into all those pores and cover all the surface area better, whereas rock salt doesn't as much. And then if you don't have any brine on there when you're shoveling, all that extra surface area of the old concrete makes so much more area for the ice to lock itself onto and makes it that much more difficult to scrape. On the newer pavement, I just find that we need less to do it well because it's nice and smooth. It's new. It's not as porous.
Um, Another question about any recommended setups or setups to avoid for front loader attachments to spread brine.
Yes, and I only know of one, so I'm comfortable not endorsing a company here. There's a company out of Minnesota, Cage with a K, Kage. They make a setup called the Liquid Rage system. We run four of those. It's a 150-gallon tank on a skid plate mount, so you can just quick attach it right to your skid loader, your compact wheel loader, anything that has a skid loader, quick attach. Your tractor, you might need a uh, might need a different coupler for your tractor. I think you can spec it with whatever one you want. But then it hooks right up to your machine's own hydraulic system. So right off the thumb switch, we have a 6-acre parking lot, Little Switzerland ski hill in Slinger. We do that entire property with one of those units. So we just leave a remote 2,000-gallon tank on site there. We fill it off this machine off of that. And it'll spray anywhere from like 6 to 8 feet. Oh, you probably get like 12 feet wide if you lift it up a little higher. Works awesome. We use all of we have them at all of our condo associations. So we do all the driveways with those. Again, to try and keep the chlorides off of the lawn, to use less chlorides. That's the only one I know of. I apologize if there's another great one that I don't know of. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and I just found that quick and dropped it in the chat. Yeah, if anyone has other recommendations, feel free to put those out there too.
Okay.
Um,
Like I said, I know there's a guy listening with Northeast De-icing Solutions. I don't know if they carry that product or not, but I reach out to him on like equipment things you're looking at. They're exceptional. And I think they'll deliver nationwide as well.
all right. I think those are the questions that we've got for now. I'm just going to give people a minute here, since we've got a little delay between Aaron, our conversation, and then it's showing up in the YouTube channel. So in the meantime, I'll just give a quick plug. If you enjoyed this, I know Aaron loves some feedback. It's hard for him to talk to nobody, so send him an email. But otherwise, we do have lots of thank yous. Just another, this was fantastic. Thank you very much. Coming through in the chat, Aaron. And wow, exclamation point. So lots of great feedback here. And yeah, I'd say check out also a couple of those other webinars I put in on brine blends. We've got webinars about once a month with folks like Aaron on the contractor side, also municipalities, counties, researchers, kind of bringing together everybody in the salt world. I think next month, September, is Lance Wilkinson from City of Appleton. October, we actually have a contractor from New Hampshire who's going to talk about the Green Snow Pro program there, the limited liability protections that they have and how that's benefited them. And we're hoping to drive some more legislators, policymakers to that, as well as kind of educating contractors so you know what we could aim for here in Wisconsin and kind of the benefits of that program. And then I think I just lined up our December webinar with someone out of Ohio that has worked to come up with a solution for cleaning dirty salt. So instead
Oh,
of kind of buying solar salt, he's got, I think it's called a hydrocyclone, that helps filter out all the contaminants. So yeah, he's out of the Ohio Local Transportation Assistance Program. So excited for that one.
Allison, it just
Yeah.
occurred to me too that I know there's a lot of people nationwide listening to this, but we are out of Wisconsin, as well as Wisconsin Saltwise. Um, some of this equipment, like what I had in the slides, is available through Reinders. So that if you in the Wisconsin Midwest area, if you reach out to Reinders, they can help you get set up with all this too. They're very passionate about not just the equipment, but about reducing the amount of chlorides in the environment.
Thanks for that. I'll drop their link in the chat there too. We had a couple staff from Reinders that came to the policy summit last month. So yeah. Shout out. I don't think Stacy or Andrea are on or signed up for this particular webinar, but I'll let them know now. They gotta watch it. Yeah, so we got excellent job. Thanks for sharing this info. Look forward to hearing more. Appreciate the info discussions. This was super great. So 2 thumbs up, Aaron. I don't see any more questions right now. So I think you're off the hook.
All right.
Perfect timing here, 1 o'clock. And yeah, thanks again,
All
everybody.
right. Thanks.